Morning, good morning. I am not Shelley Butler. I'm Yves Doucet. My partner, my best friend, is absent today, so I'm gonna be a solo. So I hope you don't turn off all your cameras. That would be very traumatic for me. I'm just joking. I'm hoping you had a great start to your Monday morning. We're gonna do another little pretty little audio. Estelle's gonna play that for us pretty soon here as we start going. And you can go, Estelle, and play it.
Everyone keeps quitting, and I don't know why. Did you make them feel valued and appreciated as employees? No. Oh, well, did you give them raises? No. Bonuses? No. Did you encourage work life balance? No. Did you welcome their input and implement it? No. Did you provide support when needed? Did you stop taking advantage of them? Did you make goals attainable? No. Did you take interest in their life? No. Did you stop criticizing them and give them positive feedback instead? No. Did you offer flexibility? No. Did you let them take their breaks? No. You empathetic ever? Nope. Okay, so I don't know why you're confused then, because that's why everyone's quitting. Maybe you should take a class in leadership or something, CJ, because I'm about to quit too. I'm about to quit right now. I'm just kidding, I need the money. Anyways, okay, I'll see you later, CJ. Okay, bye.
Okay, that's an interesting take. It's true though, right? I think the statistics are that people don't quit a job or they don't quit a company, they quit their bosses. In other words, they stop showing up because there's some injustice, some unfairness in what's going on. They're not being heard, they're not being considered, they're just being told what to do. Good morning, Trent. Good morning, Deborah. Welcome. Hope you're having a great Monday morning. Welcome to our Monday mindset meeting. Um, so it's so true. I've been an employee. I've been a volunteer. I've been in a situation where that my consideration for me weren't being heard. So I get the feeling that um, I get that feeling that something is missing inside the relationship because at the end of the day, nobody likes to be told what to do all the time. Nobody likes to be pushed around. Nobody likes to be um, um, not considered, I guess, right? And you can do it for a bit of time when you're learning and learning your things. I get that. But at the end of the day, if it continues for a long period of time, people leave. And, a lot of people are leaving and not saying anything. And then the boss will go, oh, that person was replaceable. That person was causing me more stress than anything. And and then you justify your behavior as a boss. You justify your behavior and you say, I'll just get another one that's going to listen to me. Good morning, Ellen. And I think there needs to be like a leadership school. Like most leadership school will tell you the one, two, threes of like being a good leader and like listening, active listening and considering and balancing, not sending emails at night, that kind of thing. But they actually don't go into the deeper sense of like what it is to be a leader. And what it is to be a leader in my book is to be present. What I mean by that is you have to listen to your own thoughts about why am I upset at this person, or am I upset at myself? Am I upset at something that happened in my life? Am I bringing that to the office? Am I triggered by the behavior of this person because that's simply a thought that I had in the past? And I think it's John Adams who said, the best leaders know themselves. They know their minds. They know how they react. They know how they think. They see their thoughts, and they're considerate so they can rise above it and be there for the person. And I don't know if there's a school for that. I don't know. I don't know. I've been a manager and a leader for a long time, and the one thing that I aspire to be is a better listener, and both from an employee point of view and from a leader point of view. I think, for any relationship, listening more to your own thoughts, your own way of being, and saying, okay, is this reasonable or not? And it's as simple as this. If you're, is it the environment that, oh, hi, Shelley. Hi, Diane. Is it the environment that's toxic or is it the thought that's toxic? I was having a coffee. This happens to me all the time. I was having a coffee last week, doing my work, and then somebody comes to me and he says, "Do you mind if I sit down?" I said, "Absolutely not." So we had a coffee, and he says, you probably noticed that I was away um, for a couple of years." And I said, "Yeah, I did notice. Good morning, Bob. Nice to see you again. I hope you enjoyed the weekend. Yeah. The event that I just had with, and you, Bob was there, Shelley was there, Jen was there. Hope you enjoyed it. Um, it's okay, Shelley. I got your back. Be you. Do you. We miss you. You'll come back next week. Okay." And so I was having coffee with this, I won't name his name, but he said, I left a toxic environment and that I was in because, the boss was not considerate of my time and my effort. And as an example is I wanted to work from home and he didn't allow that to work from home. He wanted me to work in the office, and that was very, very controlling for me. And I thought, then I asked him a question: were you the only one to leave? In other words, did all the staff leave? And he said, no, just me. I said, okay. So maybe it was partly you, maybe it was partly him, the reaction or the attachment or the interaction that you have with your boss. And there's a responsibility on both sides. There's a responsibility for the boss to see that the employee is triggering you. And so then you're putting undue stress on that person. Like I can feel that. Like I'm not fighting with every single person in the around me. I'm fighting with certain people around me. So because I have a thought and that thought comes from the past, my past like experience, I see through that experience. I don't see through the new experience. And I think there's got to be a way for you to rise up. And it's the same for the employee. So the employee was telling me, "What, I got to be free. I have to be free. That's why I left." And I went away and I went in the woods and I went there for 5 years. Obviously, this was very traumatic for the employee. And I said, "Well, is that freedom? Were you free in the woods? Or are you free now from the thoughts that you're having? Did you become free because you left the job, or did you become free because you're not thinking about it anymore?" And he paused for a second and said, "Well, maybe freedom is getting away from your thoughts." And I think it is. And that was like, I wasn't the first one to say that. Seneca said, "Wherever you go, there you are." Before John Adams, Seneca said the same thing. The leaders know themselves. The best leaders know that. So if you want to lead your life, it doesn't matter if you're an employee or a boss, you have to know yourself. You have to know where your thoughts are coming from. You have to know why you're thinking the way you're thinking. You have to know that your past has shaped your thoughts, your thinking. You have to know that you are there today because, and you're successful because you obviously got a leadership role because of your past. But your past is not going to take you to where you want to go. Your past is not going to do that. It's going to make you stick to where you are today. Yeah. So Bob, you liked it. So did Diane and Shelley. Thank you. Thank you for being there. You guys made it an extraordinary event. So back to my little audio that was listening. So how do you know when to leave? How do you know when to leave? Well, you leave when you can't think anymore. When you leave when you've had there, and there's a kind of a I think that goes at the age by the age of 45 or something, they call it midlife crisis. For some people it's later. For me, it happened at 60, so I'm thinking I'm going to live till 120. But for midlife crisis happens, and when my midlife crisis happens, you've been through all the emotions you've been through your life. You can almost predict what's going to happen. And that's at the point that you say, okay, I have played this out before. I know where this relationship is going to be. And you can take action by saying, I can leave right away, or I can change right away. I can change and not be bound to the thoughts and the triggers that I was before. And the reason I'm talking about that is most of the things that this young lady was asking, were you considerate? No. Did you listen to them? No. Did you give them ample times to learn? No. These are a lot of leadership things that we need to consider. Like if the person is learning a new skill, they have no time to do anything else except learn that new skill. And we have to give them the time to learn that new skill. This is, and if they're not learning fast enough, maybe we have to see why they're not interested in that skill. Maybe it's not in their wheelhouse. Not everybody can be a football player. I can't be a football player. Not everybody is passionate about what they're doing, and we have to listen to that passion. We have to listen, and it may not be um, what you expect. You may not be what you expect, and that's okay. It's okay for people to say, "I don't want to do that anymore." What does that mean? Well, you either find a space for that person because they're not doing or they're not passionate about what they're doing because they've learned it, they become bored of it, and they want to do something else. That's the human, like everybody gets bored when they learn something and they have it mastered. They want to have a little more stress in their life, a little more novelty in their life. Everybody's there. If we just have to understand where they are in their as a boss, as a leader, you have to understand where they are and meet them where they are. And I think the best example I can give to you is my friend Bruce. And my friend Bruce is a homeless person. And for years, I've been calling myself a leader and a coach. And one day I woke up and said, am I truly a leader? Am I truly a coach if I can't help the person who needs it the most? The homeless person, the person who doesn't want to help. It's easy to lead people who are want to be led. It's easy to lead people. If you just take the example, like most coaches and most people would say, yeah, like the reason that like I'm just going to pick on the people that want to work. Well, that's easy leadership. Can't, it's because we're looking for the easy way out. We're all looking for the people who are open-minded, if you want. But can we open the mind of people? Can we actually open our own minds and see that we're not showing up for that person? We're not seeing what they're going through. We're not seeing their beliefs. We're not seeing what they need. And the question that the young lady was asking is like, maybe you should go back to leadership school. What does that look like? What does leadership school look like? If everybody is leaving around you, eventually, how does the saying go? You point your fingers. Eventually, you have to look, and there's actually like three fingers pointing at you in front of you. Like everybody's leaving around you, you should look at what you're doing around you. If friends are leaving you, maybe you should look at your own like way that you're treating, the way you're talking, the way you're reacting to people. And I have to do that too. Sometimes well, all the time I reflect on whether or not, people are leaving. They're saying that people are not calling, people are not inviting me. Am I doing all the right things, or am I showing up as a knower or as a coach or as the best version of myself for them? There's always room to grow. Instead of trying to build a tribe that only listens to you, maybe we should look at ourselves and say, there is some work to be done there. Instead of like doing like my friend did, escaping to the woods for 5 years in order to, you know, be free. Can you be free in the environment? Can you be free in the way you're doing it? Can you be free in your own sense of discovering how you can be better? And we're talking a little bit about the event. And yesterday I got some criticism or feedback from the event. And this person didn't have the same belief as I had. And she said, you said words that really are not aligned with my beliefs. And I said, okay, well, tell me what they were. And she told me. And I reacted. I was like taking aback, said, well, how dare you tell me that you didn't like my event? And I took a deep breath. I said, okay, can I just like step back and can I actually reflect on the feedback? Can I change? Was she right? And she gave me good feedback. It was good. Now, am I going to change to have her back in my event? No, I'm doing that to get better because there's things that we can always look at ourselves and say, there's a better way to do it. So, the best leadership school that I could recommend to all leaders is do nothing, journal, reflect, take responsibilities for your thoughts, see that you're stuck in the same way that you have been. If you just take a look at your own self, your own way, your own reaction, and be responsible. So, no, I was reacting. No, I am in emotional state. I don't see you. I don't hear you. And say yes to all those things, and maybe you can share it with someone. You don't need to go to a school. You don't need to read a book. You know what? Like, this is not going to help you. You have to do the work. You have to do the work. And the work is actually observing yourself. The work is actually seeing that you have to grow. That's the work. Nothing happens until the work is done. Nothing. And there's a hard way. There's a hard way to do the work. Like, pushing yourself. I did, you know, um, I don't know how many hours of yoga to, to find out that it wasn't about yoga. I did like 1,200 hours of yoga and more than that. I don't know how many hours. I did so many videos, and it's not about the videos. It's not about the yoga. It's about my way of seeing who I am. It's about how I think and how I am, and letting go of that so I can be someone else. That's, leadership's the first rule of really leadership in my book, to have your team stay there, is to look at yourself and become present in the moment. There was a study done not too long ago, and I talked about this in one of the videos last week in the event that I had. There was a study not too long ago that took a bunch of students, and they said, we want you to do this little exercise. Can you count the number of images in this newspaper? Now, if you don't know what a newspaper is because you're from the new generation, a newspaper is these big things. You can find them in the library. There's big things, and they're full of stories and big pieces of paper, and you kind of open them up, and there's news in there, editorials, advertising, and that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm being facetious. So they ask these participants, can you count the number of images in this newspaper? And the participant says yes. But first, we'll ask you a question. And they went individually to all these people, and they said, do you believe that you are lucky? And a good bunch of them said, yes, I believe I'm lucky. And the other bunch of them said, no, I don't believe I'm lucky. And I said, no problem. Now, we'll give you 2 minutes to count the number of images that are in this paper. And there was a trick, because there's always a trick to these studies. The trick was, in page 2 of the newspaper, there was a big ad that it says, stop counting. There's 42 images in this paper. And they did the experiment. And some people like just flipped through it, and some people stopped at page 2. The interesting thing about this whole experiment was this, that most people who believe that we're lucky stopped at page 2. Most people who didn't believe they were lucky counted to the end. If you're not present in the present moment, you're going to miss. This is the moral. Good morning, Cheryl. The moral of this story in my book is that if you are not present to the moment right now, if you are not seeing the employee in front of you, the distress, if you're not hearing the person who's trying to talk to you, and you're trying to convince them, you're trying to coach them, you're trying to lead them, you're trying to tell them what to do, but they're trying to speak to you, they're trying to tell you something. And it's not in the words, it's in the emotion, it's in the feeling that they're trying to give you, right? If you can't do that, you can't step back and do that, you're not here. And that happens to me. It happened to me yesterday. Absolutely. I thought this person was attacking my event, and she wasn't. She was trying to explain to me something. And what she was trying to explain to me was that she didn't feel heard. Got it. And I wasn't hearing her in the moment. You don't need to go to school to listen. You need to listen to listen. Listening is a skill. So if you just like focus on creating a space in your mind, say, I'm going to be the best listener around. I'm going to hang around people that are listening, and I'm going to listen to myself. I'm going to listen to people. I'm going to be there for them. I'm going to focus on it. You become a best listener, you'll become a better leader. What this two scenario was showing me is that nobody's listening. The employee is not listening. The boss is not listening. Nobody is listening. So it ends up in disease. Everybody's yelling. It ends up in separation. And I know you felt this when you start arguing with a person, and you're like, and that person's trying to say something, and you say it back, and you say it 15 times, but I told you 15 times. I've told you 15 times, and they're not there. They're not there, you're not there. How do you make people listen? How do you feel heard? Become a better listener. Become a better listener. And unfortunately, there's no school that's going to teach you this. There's no book that's going to teach you this. You have to do it yourself. You have to actually become a better listener. And it's not that hard. But that's the number one thing that you need to be to lead, to build a team around you. You need to be a better listener. And you need to be able to see that you're not the best listener. Does that mean that you're going to succeed all the time? No. It means that you're going to fail and you're going to take responsibility for that failure. It means that you're going to listen to the fact that maybe you weren't listening. And it's a practice, but you'll become better. Listening is a skill. It's like just going to the gym. So it's like eating food. If you listen, and the interesting thing about listening is that if you become more aware and you start seeing more curiosity, you're more aware of the present moment. You're more aware that, oh, I don't have to count to the end. Life gets easier. You're not rushing to the end to count the number of images. You've already discovered it. You discovered a new path, a new discovery. So when you start listening to people, you discover deeper sense of belonging, a deeper sense of connection to that employee, and they feel heard. And then you see the possibilities. It will not be as you expect, though. It will not be what you want. And that's part of listening. That's part of providing a space for that employee to grow. And it doesn't need to be an employee, it could be a friend. It most likely is, right? Or you could do it the hard way. You can push everybody out of your life and then choose the people who listen to you, choose the people who follow you, only like those people, only love those people. That's the hard way. That's the hard way to do it, for sure. Well, what happens, and you may ask, what happens if you're not answering the phone the way that I want them? Well, maybe their way is better. Maybe you sit them and down and you have a discussion of why they're doing the way they're doing it. Become a better listener. That's my little take on that whole thing as leadership and employees. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I think it's understanding. So my friend, the reason I talk about my friend Bruce a lot is like, if I call myself a leader and I call myself a coach, can I listen to this person? Actually, my first step was listening to me. So I remember the first time that he asked me for some money. I gave him some money, and then he was back around, and I could like see like I was walking outside my office. I would always like have like this anxiety. Oh my God, he's going to ask me for some money again. I would see myself avoiding him, avoiding the conversation. And then I would see myself judging him for how he looked and how he smelled. And like I remember the first time he asked me for a drive, I could see myself saying, no, he's going to bring, like it's going to have this body odor in my car. All these thoughts were going in my head. And I had to rise above that. And now what happens is like Bruce called me for Christmas and he says, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. And I asked him why he called me. He says, you're the only person I can call. Recently, he found himself a home. He called me on Friday and he says, they gave me this apple at the food bank, but it's not an apple. It's like a mix between an apple and a pear or something. It's weird color. And he starts eating the apple on the phone with me. He says, hey, it's pretty good. He wanted to share that moment with me. And then he says to me, do you know I have found a new space? I've been here for about 14 days or something. And he says, I have my own dishwasher, not dishwasher, my own washer and dryer. I can wash my own clothes. Thanks for being my friend. And then yesterday, he sent me another text. I'm lucky and grateful that you're in my life. All I did, yes, I gave him some money. I'm not doubting that. But that's not why. That's not the most important thing. What I do is I'm listening to him. But more importantly, listening to me and my thoughts and my judgment about who I am or who I think I am. And I rise above that and let that go because my thoughts and my feelings are just living in the past. I don't want to live in the past anymore. So if you want to build a team that's growing in the future and not the past, because whether you want to believe it or not, there's no opportunity in the past. It's already done. There's only opportunity in the future. You have to start being a better leader by listening to yourself. listening to your thought, your self talk. You're convincing yourself that you know the answer, convincing yourself that you know the path, and you're not open to other possibilities. And you're not meeting the person where you need to meet them. You're not meeting the person where you should be. Now, I'm going to go back to Bruce for a second because I love this. If I was just to offer you this, I'm going to challenge my friends that are so-called leaders and they're leaders. They're leaders. They're leading. People are following them. So they are leaders and they're coaches. People are being coached by them. And I don't know how many homelessness there is in the city, but there are more coaches and leaders in this city that are homeless people. And I would say, I challenge you to go and adopt one of these homeless person and then practice your skill set on leadership and coaching. Practice what you know with these people. Because the way to become a better listener, the way to become a better leader, the way to become a better coach is to practice. And you're going to learn so much. You'll be so grateful. You're welcome already. That's the leadership tool. Like I'm asking you to go adopt a homeless person. It's not that easy to coach a person that doesn't want to be coached. And if you can actually lead this person out of where they are into a better space, you'll become a better person, a better leader, a better coach. That's the school that I would recommend that you go to. The school of hard knocks, if you want. That you can see where they are. You can listen. And I guarantee you, like you may give them some money. The last thing they'll want is your advice. Guaranteed. So how do you lead a person that doesn't want to lead, that wants to be, doesn't want to be led? And you'll understand why that person that you're is employed by you also has the same feeling. If you understand that, because you'll embody it, you'll become a better leader. That's what I believe. I miss Shelley. Hope that makes sense for you guys this morning. Um, you got this. You know how you know already the anxiety that it causes when somebody is not doing the job. You know that, and it's inside of you. Most of it's inside of you. You don't feel enough. That's why you're getting upset. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys have a good Monday. Thank you, Diane. And hope you have a good week. Um, and yeah, this is my Mindset Monday. Get your workout in. That's what Shelley would say. And what matters in life is how you show up every single day. And that's why we named our software Show Up. Because how we show up determines our life, determines how excited you become every day. Good morning, Barbara. And so how are you going to show up today? Are you going to show up happy? Are you going to show up sad? It's a choice that we have. How are you going to show up today? Are you going to show up as a listener? Hmm. Are you going to show up as a doer? Are you going to show up as a discovery? Are you going to show up like as a new you? Like this event on Saturday was a first for me. I've never spoken for 6 hours in a row. Like never. I never imagined I would could do that. I never imagined I would actually lead 3 sessions of meditation to a group. Good morning, Erica. And it was how I showed up every single day. All right. Have a good week. Love you all. I'm Yves Doucet. We'll see you next week with another session.